guys, it's the Chook Man here once again. It's a documentary on Willie Nelson.
Message can change the world.
At 92 years old, Willie Nelson has seen more heartbreak than most people could survive.
There goes that happy ending.
He's buried friends, lost fortunes, and
Johnny
watched his
Cash.
dreams burn to ashes.
Hello there.
It's Willie Nelson when he was younger, guys.
It's been a long, long time.
Now, in what might be his final moments, he's revealing something that shocks everyone who hears it.
What are you looking at me for? I ain't got nothing to say.
When asked about death, Willie doesn't flinch, doesn't hesitate. His response cuts through decades of pretense with brutal honesty.
Low points. When I lost my son, that was a big one, and everything else seems to pale in comparison.
But what led this legendary outlaw to such a stark acceptance of his own mortality?
We're all pretty much the same. And what makes me and you laugh or cry, chances are it'll make everyone else laugh or cry.
The answer lies buried in a lifetime of unimaginable pain, crushing defeats, and losses that would break lesser men.
I know several people that I'd like to see take a hit.
This isn't the sanitized version of Willie Nelson's story. This is the raw truth about what happens when life strips away everything you thought mattered.
That's, unusual for people.
So in other words, guys, Willie Nelson, he's been there.
It's
The
about a
good and
man
the
who
bad.
learned that sometimes the greatest courage isn't fighting to live, but accepting when it's time to let go. The journey to this moment of clarity began long before Willie became a household name.
First time I got on stage when I was about 5 years old.
It started in the dust and desperation of Depression-era Texas, where a young boy would learn his first brutal lesson about abandonment. Willie Hugh Nelson entered this world on April 29, 1933, in Abbott, Texas. But from his earliest memories, the world seemed determined to teach him that nothing lasts forever.
You're not wrong.
I figure anything else. If you get through that, you can get through anything.
His parents, Merle and Ira Nelson, had dreams bigger than their small town could contain. When those dreams called them elsewhere, they made a decision that would shape Willie's entire worldview. At just 6 years old, Willie watched his mother walk away. She left him and his sister Bobby with their grandparents, promising to return when times got better.
And she never
Those
did.
better times never came. His father remarried and started a new life, leaving Willie to wonder what he'd done wrong, why he wasn't worth staying for. The abandonment cut deep, creating wounds that would never fully heal.
I used to drink a lot. I used to smoke a lot of cigarettes.
Willie's grandparents, William and Nancy Smothers, did their best to fill the void. They taught him music, gave him his first guitar when he was 6 years old. But even their love couldn't erase the fundamental question that haunted him. Why wasn't he enough to make his parents stay? During the scorching Texas summers, Willie worked the cotton fields alongside migrant workers. His small hands would bleed from picking cotton under the merciless sun. The work was backbreaking for a grown man, devastating for a child.
But don't feel too bad about it. You'll just go crazy again. Just delete and fast forward, my friend.
But it taught Willie something valuable about endurance, about pushing through pain when giving up seemed easier. The young boy found solace in music, writing his first song at age 7. It was crude, simple, but it gave voice to feelings he couldn't express any other way. When he joined his first band at 10, playing with the Bohemian Polka, he discovered something powerful. On stage, the abandonment didn't matter. The crowd accepted him, wanted him there. But even as music became his refuge,
You are always on my mind.
the scars of abandonment remained. Willie learned early that people leave, that promises break, that counting on anyone but yourself was dangerous.
That's right.
What are some of the rules that your family has?
There's 3.
Don't be an asshole. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a goddamn asshole. If you broke 3, you really screwed up.
This harsh lesson would serve him well in the brutal music industry, but it also made him understand something most people never grasp, that attachment to anything, even life itself, could become a prison. The boy who picked cotton in 100-degree heat, who was left behind by the people who should have loved him most, was already learning that the greatest freedom comes from having nothing left to lose.
I feel like, I'm another singer, another guitar player. I know there's a lot better guitar players and a lot better singers.
By the early 1960s, Willie Nelson had found love, or what he thought was love. He'd married Martha Matthews, and they'd built what looked like a perfect life. 3 beautiful children, Lana, Susie, and Billy, filled their home with laughter. Willie was chasing his dream in Nashville, the heart of country music, writing songs that would become classics.
If you had not have fallen, then I would not have found you.
But dreams, Willie discovered, don't pay the bills. While his songs were being recorded by major stars like Patsy Cline, Willie himself was struggling to make ends meet. He worked odd jobs, sold encyclopedias door to door, pumped gas, anything to keep food on the table. The man who would become a multimillionaire was sleeping on friends' couches and counting pennies for groceries. Martha grew tired of the constant struggle. She'd married a dreamer, but reality was a 3-bedroom house with empty cupboards and past due notices. The fights started small little arguments about money.
In other words, guys, if you want whatever you want in life, you've got to fight for it no matter what. Willie Nelson's been through happy times, he's been through sad times, he's been through depression, and that man's been through hell and back. And what his message is, if you want something bad enough, doesn't matter what it is, if you want it bad enough, you'll go get off your ass and you'll go get it.
A mirror showing him everything he'd failed to become. The man who could write songs that made millions cry couldn't figure out how to make his own wife smile. One particularly brutal winter night, Willie hit rock bottom. The rejection letters were piling up, the bills were overdue, and Martha had said things that cut deeper than any knife. Willie stumbled out into the freezing Nashville streets, so drunk he could barely stand. In his darkest moment, he made a decision that still haunts him. He laid down in the middle of the street, hoping a car would end the pain. The asphalt was like ice against his back, and Willie closed his eyes, waiting for headlights to bring relief. Cars swerved around him, drivers shouting curses, but none delivered the peace he craved. He lay there for what felt like hours, understanding for the first time that sometimes the most desperate act is also the most cowardly. When he finally dragged himself home, Martha was waiting. But instead of comfort, she offered ultimatums. Instead of understanding, she gave him lists of his failures. The marriage was over in everything but name, and Willie knew it. He'd learned another brutal lesson, that even love could become a weapon, that the people closest to you could inflict the deepest wounds.
Yeah, and what do you mean by that?
The man who would sing about heartbreak for millions was learning that some pain is too deep for songs to heal. December 25th, 1991 should have been a day of celebration for the Nelson family. Christmas morning, presents under the tree, grandchildren running through the house with new toys.
They were praying for the lovers in the valley of the Gum.
Instead, it became the day that would haunt Willie Nelson for the rest of his life. Billy Nelson, Willie's eldest son, had been struggling for years. Being Willie Nelson's son in Texas was like carrying a weight that grew heavier every day. Everywhere Billy went, people expected him to be a reflection of his famous father. They wanted the charm, the talent, the easy smile that made Willie a star. But Billy was fighting demons that fame couldn't touch. Depression had wrapped itself around Billy like a snake, squeezing tighter every year. He'd inherited his father's sensitive soul, but not his ability to transform pain into art. While Willie could write a song about heartbreak and find healing, Billy just felt broken. The medication didn't help, the therapy sessions felt hollow, and the weight of expectations grew unbearable. Willie's sister Bobby later revealed how close the family was that Christmas morning. They'd been planning to record a gospel album together, Billy and Willie sharing their faith and their music. The studio time was booked, the songs were chosen, and for a brief moment it seemed like they'd found a way to connect through the thing that meant most to Willie, his music. But Billy